Hi guys, and welcome to this video on Year 12 Business Management. We're in Unit 4, Outcome 1, and our fourth key knowledge point, which is going to be an introduction to the force field analysis theory. This is going to be a first in a three-part video where we delve into driving and restraining forces, but I want you to consider this to be the introductory video to force field analysis. What do I hope that you get out of this? I hope that you understand what we mean by force field analysis. Specifically the key principles, and new to the study design, but not new to the theory. We're going to need to understand what we mean by weighting, ranking, implementing, and evaluating a response using force field analysis theory. So what is force field analysis theory? The first thing to understand, it was made in 1969 by a man called Kurt Lewin, who was looking to understand problems and how they impact change on business. Now, the force field analysis theory recognized or thought that there were two types of forces, that exist and in fact coexist when a business is trying to implement change. We recognize that all businesses will often have to implement change at some stage, or will try to implement a change, and some will find it easier than others. And that's because of these two forces. One, there is driving forces. These are forces that support the change to occur. And there will be a specific video on the types of driving forces. And then also there are restraining forces. These are forces that work against the change process, that are trying to stop the change from occurring or moving forward successfully. So we'll talk about an image in a second with a tug of war or rugby scrum analogy. But Lewin argued that these forces occur. And he argued that by identifying these forces, this allows businesses and business managers the ability to assess the situation and develop a plan of action to ensure the change occurs successfully. Ensure that we move from a current to future state, ensure that this happens in a controlled and systematic way. And by identifying these forces and ultimately manipulating these forces, they have a better chance of success. So I want you to start to think about it as a tug of war or a rugby scrum. When there is a change, there is always going to be some aspects that are going to be helping the change occur. And we consider these driving forces, and you can see in this example, there are four. There are also going to be other parts of the business or external to the business that aren't that happy with the change or some aspect of it, and will be restraining forces. And you can see we have four examples here. Now, the way to get this change to occur is to ultimately, a number of ways, recruit more driving forces, so get the driving force change more powerful, or for the existing four, make them stronger, or alternatively remove or weaken some of the restraining forces. So in just the same way in a tug of war, the strongest side will win. In a rugby scrum, the strongest side will win. We want that side to be the driving forces, because ultimately then the change will occur more effectively, more efficiently, and ensure that the business adapts to the pressures and opportunities. And that really is what force field analysis is. Identifying the different forces and then coming up with some strategies to make sure that the driving force side is more powerful. So how does it really work? There is 4 stages to this theory. Firstly, the business will need to identify the need for change. What actually needs to occur? Then the business will need to consider what aspects of the business could drive the change. What are going to be the driving forces? They will also need to then consider the aspects of the business that could restrict the change. These are our restraining forces. What is going to make the change difficult? And then they're going to need to work out how to make the driving force side more powerful. So they will need to implement strategies to manage these forces and enable the change occurs. So identify the change, work out the driving and restraining forces, and then implement strategies to make sure the driving force side is more powerful. Now, when we talk about some key concepts that are new to the study design, but not new to the theory, weighting, ranking, implementing, and evaluating, we need to understand that not all driving forces and restraining forces are going to be as important. Just like in a tug of war, we have strong people and less strong people. So giving a weighting is going to be working out which ones are more important, which ones are going to be the bigger driving forces, or potentially, more importantly, which ones are going to be the bigger restraining forces. Weighting means working out of 100, which one is going to be giving percentages, so weighting the percentage. So this one is 40% of the restraining forces, for example. This allows the business to rank, so we can tick off weighting, rank the top restraining and driving forces. Because remember, we want to eliminate the restraining forces and strengthen the driving forces. So if we can eliminate the top weighted restraining force, that's going to go to the biggest, going to be the biggest push driver for success if we can do that. Now, to do that, we're going to need to implement a response. How are we going to strengthen the driving forces or eliminate the restraining forces? So we're going to need to come up with a list of actions required and implement our responses to make the driving force side more powerful. And of course, we will need to then evaluate the response to see if it has been successful. So that's how we can think of weighting, ranking, implementing, and evaluating responses. And here is a specific example of a business with a plan. They are wanting to upgrade a factory with new manufacturing machinery. So they're going to try and make their business change, they're going to hopefully be more efficient and effective because they're going to have new machinery, manufacturing machinery. But if you look at currently, their forces for change, they've given a ranking of 10, and the forces against the change as 11. Now you might notice there are 5 restraining forces and 4 driving forces, but they've also given them a weighting, in this case, a number, not a percentage. And you can see here that the restraining forces, in fact, is winning 11 to 10. Success is going to be very hard and potentially not very successful. The driving forces are that the customers want the new product and it will improve the speed of production and we will make more. But the big restraining forces of cost, their employees aren't happy because they're going to lose staff over time, and the staff are frightened of new technology. So you can start to see that the cost might be a little bit hard to manage, but if we can help our staff and help them see that this isn't as big a problem, and if we can eliminate those, it's going to be 10 to 5. If we can convince them they won't lose overtime, or maybe pay them more because of this, or educate them or train them on the technology so they're not as frightened, we might even be able to turn them into a driving force. And we might suddenly have a case where we are now at 12 to 5, and the success of this change strategy should be guaranteed. And that's how I want you to think about it. Now, there is a lot of benefits and limitations of doing force field analysis. I encourage you to pause this slide and have a look at it. But for now, I hope this has helped you understand the key principles of force field analysis, and it got you to understand what we mean by weighting, ranking, implementing, and evaluating a response.